Hi, it's Nonny. I have a new type of story for you guys. This one is for adults. It is titled The Divine Romance by Jean Edwards. This is not a picture book, but it is about God and his love for us. And let me tell you, this book had a profound effect on my life. And if you care to join me, I would like to read it to you. Here we go. The Divine Romance. Turn back, O city, turn back, O bride of God. The Prologue. He was alone. The first tick of time had never sounded, nor had the unending circle of eternity yet commenced. There were neither things created nor things uncreated to share space with him. He dwelt in an age before the eternals, where all there was God. Nor was there space for anything else. He was the uncreated. He was the all. In this non-time of so long ago, there was but one life form, the highest life. He was also love. Passionate, emotional, expressive love. In this God, dwelling so all alone, there was a paradox. Though he was alone, he was also love. Yet there was no counterpart for him to love. A love so vast, so powerful, yet there was no other than. Then life pulsated. Light blazed in newfound glory as revelation ascended in him. As he cried from within the council of the Godhead, "There can be two!" This is just the prologue. I, the living God, shall have a counterpart. Exalting in revelation, he consecrated his whole being to this one task, to have a bride. For one brief moment, the infinite solitude retreated. But just before he launched his grand design, a very mysterious thing took place in God. Deep within the center of his being, there occurred an event that no other eye was to see, no other mind to conceive. 1,000 million portions of God burst upward in light. Each of those portions of God ignited into flaming brilliance, as if to proclaim that each had been chosen, even marked off for some special, distant destiny. Having marked off these future destinies, the living God gave himself to making real his highest dream. Unending self-containment would end. And so he spoke, "Let there be." In so speaking, he relinquished being the all, making room for something other than the all of God. For one brief moment, there was God and a great abyss of nothingness. Never before, and only once since, has there been such a radical change in the history of God. Now, as "let there be" sounded across the sphere of nothingness, there came a blinding flash that filled that hollow void. Suddenly, there was not only the uncreated God, there was something new. Created light. A picture of God now shared space with God. He then created a realm of spirituals, unmeasured, immeasurable. This realm, like its God, fell outside of infinite understandings. Yet this invisible spiritual sphere was inside him. He called it the heavenly places. Though it was in him, yet it pleased him to enfold himself and dwell there. He then created living creatures. He called them messengers. These beings were covered in light that emanated from their spirits, just as their God is covered in the glory of the light of his own being. His messengers were like him in so many ways, but they were also unlike him. They were powerful, but not all powerful. They were everlasting, but not eternal. Unlike God, who moved about at will in eternity past, eternity present, and eternity future, they moved only forward into eternity future. They had no counterpart, but they had one another for companionship. But these messengers were entirely unlike God in one way. They were neuter. He was male. And they could not love. They could glory, yes, but they could not love, not as he loved. And though he joyed in having these creatures present with him, and though his solitude had at last been broken, they had one another. Like had like, kind had kind. But for him, there was no kind after his kind. Speaking aloud once more, the Lord called out to the abyss of nothingness, and nothingness gave way to something. A visible realm now burst forth from his word. He spoke again, and his word, this visible realm, swarmed with sparkling lights and circling orbs. He then stretched forth his hand, and there dropped from his fingertips a small and shapeless mass. Upon this mass grain I shall labor, for it is the place of my supreme purpose in creating. As he worked, the void mass began to take on symmetry. As he labored, he filled the little ball with things never before imagined. By the 6th day, the small planet swarmed with wonders. His audience, the accompanying angels, watched him create a wholly different life from them. Visible life that could hear, that could fly, that could run, that could even cry aloud. But the most startling sight upon the blue-green ball was this: everything was two. Furthermore, an astonishing kind of two it was. Not one of these creatures was neuter. They were male, that is, half were male. The most incomprehensible wonder in the universe was the other half. These beings were not neuter, and they were not male. They were something new and beyond all comprehension. They were female. Male had a counterpart, kind after his kind. Counterparts. Here was a concept so wondrous that the angels spoke of it in hushed reverence. And staring in pristine innocence at their God, they wondered what had provoked him to create living things that came in twos, each he having a her. And so they stared, and so they wondered, and so they viewed these newly created things, saying, like us they live and move. Like us they have kind of their kind. But oh, unlike us, they are visible. Unlike God or angels, each have a counterpart. And they took note that now all living things had someone else except one. God was still alone. Okay, so that was just the prologue. I'll start next chapter in a minute.